Hello and welcome to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. This is Stefan, your host, British by birth, American by choice. The Founding Fathers crafted some remarkable documents that led to the creation of a great country founded on liberty and self-reliance. I have lived in the Euro-socialist nightmare, and I'm doing what I can to return this country to the vision that the Founding Fathers gave us. We need to strive to rebuild our shining city on the hill, for without us, the world has nowhere to turn for freedom. For the next hour, I will be presenting news, views, and guests that help keep the true spirit of America alive. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever, whenever you are. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, British by birth, American by choice, welcoming you to episode 295 of Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. Ooh, 295, 5 to go to the big 300. Couple of shows ago, I put out a challenge and said, hey folks, should I stop at 300? Should I continue? I'm glad to say Matt did send me an email and said, no, keep going. So, folks, let me know. Do a little poll. You can email me at stefan@patrickcomelately.us. You can go to the Patrick Come Lately Facebook page. You can go to www.patrickcomelately.us and fill out the contact form. Let me know. There's a lot going on this year, so I'd like to continue, but I also want to know that it's worthwhile, that we should continue. And again, thanks to Matt. He did say it was worthwhile, but let's have a few more people. Tonight's show is coming to you again from the New England area. I'm in enemy territory here, I guess I could say, especially compared to where I live. And we'll be talking a little bit about that as well later in the show. But I'm up here in the Hartford area, and we'll be coming up here another time before Christmas, so a couple of visits here in the month of December. I hope everybody had a good and safe Thanksgiving, and looking forward to tonight's show. The title of tonight's show is Could I Find Agreement with Piers? And of course that Piers that I'm talking about there is Piers Morgan. In the past, I've spoken about him. I think he's a bad import. He did a lot of very negative things about the Second Amendment, and can't imagine why he would do that. But then again, he comes from the UK, and they seem to think, everybody in Europe seems to think that maybe Americans are crazy about their guns, but he shouldn't come here and start spouting that rhetoric here. But, as the title says, could I find agreement with Piers? Well, listen, later in the show, I may surprise you. I surprised myself a little bit, so, stick around, folks. But before we do that, just a quick kind of lightning round of topics, which I like to call Patrick Come Lately's Weekly Summary. And the first topic in the Weekly Summary is, yes, unfortunately, there is yet again more liberal hypocrisy. Now, don't be surprised by that, because we know that is part of the Regressive's DNA to be hypocritical. So, what is it this time? Well, how about this one? Obama and all the talking parrots that seem to get their orders from some smoky backroom has been telling us that the states can't refuse refugees because it's a direct violation of federal law. Well, maybe not. There's more on this also later in the show. Now, remember, of course, King Barry's lips were moving when he said that, so take it with a grain of salt. And then, of course, the king turns around and almost in the same breath says, you can't stop sanctuary cities from being sanctuary cities. Which is, and being a sanctuary city is actually a direct violation of federal law. So, again, hypocrisy, folks. Anyway, but there's more. This is good news. This comes from my home state of Georgia. Is this the end of PC, the end of political correctness? Could this be one of the byproducts of Trump? Has he wakened the country to being non-PC? Now, last week I talked about a store that had a sign about being non-politically correct in their window. Well, one sheriff is making quite a stir, and he only started his campaign a few days ago. I think looking at the wording, he probably got the idea from the sign that the store had. Or did the store maybe get it from him? Who knows? Anyway, but wording's almost the same. This is a Georgia County sheriff who decided to put up a sign that puts political correctness right in its place. Harris County Sheriff Mike Jolly, in an effort to stir people's belief and patriotism, posted a new sign last week outside of his department, saying that his county is politically incorrect and that if you have a problem with that, you can leave, which is even, well, pretty much the same as the store owner last week. Jolly paid for the sign himself. There is no city, county, state, or federal money involved with this. So he paid for it by himself, and it reads, "Warning, Harris County is politically incorrect. We say Merry Christmas, God bless America, and in God we trust. We salute our troops and our flag. If this offends you, in capital letters, leave." Now, those words, as I said, are very similar to the words on the sign in the shop window. So which one came first, the chicken or the egg? Who knows? Anyway, so the sheriff said that he was tired of the silent majority becoming more silent, and so he paid for the sign out of his own pocket, and it's outside his department, because his department is actually on the county line. So there's a big sign saying, "Welcome to Harris County," and then the sign underneath, but warning, Harris County, etc. Now, he paid for it out of his own pocket, but people have been sending him donations, and he said he has received more than enough money to cover the cost of the sign. What he also found out is that many people have been asking him how they could get a sign and have it placed on their own property. So, folks, good news there. Political correctness is maybe not quite as strong as we thought. Another weekly summary topic, a little bit longer this one. This is about Paul Ryan, and Paul Ryan telling Sean Hannity he will not support any cuts to Muslim immigration because that's not who we are. I don't understand the GOP, right? Paul Ryan is ruling out making any cuts to Muslim immigration, which he specified in an interview with Sean Hannity declared that considering an applicant's religion would not be appropriate and would be fundamentally un-American, insisting that's not who we are. Well, actually, it may be un-American, but it is actually part of the immigration code, because you can ask someone if they're Christian and coming from the Middle East and being hounded by the ISIS, the Daesh thugs. And that is actually in the law, that you have to ask them if they're being religiously persecuted. And so I think it's a very good question to say, well, if you're a Muslim coming from there, show me why you're being religiously persecuted. Because I don't think you are, not compared to what the Christians are doing. Now, Hannity was talking about some thoughts that Senator Jeff Sessions from Alabama, and his office put out a series of analysis about the enormous scope of immigration to the United States. Since 9/11, the U.S. has accepted more than 2 million immigrants, refugees, and asylum seekers from predominantly Muslim nations. Why all of a sudden all these people coming in from Muslim nations? Aren't there enough Christian nations who want to send people? If you look at the polling, 83% of voters want to see projected immigration growth reduced. And so Sessions is saying Congress needs to take up a bill to reduce the number of visas and green cards handed out each year. Congress should immediately begin to move popular immigration reforms that would be backed by overwhelming majorities of voters, including part of that should be blocking the president from using federal funds to unilaterally expand the costly refugee settlement program. And it is that. I mean, it is going to cost us billions over the next 10 years for all these refugees coming in. And that's exactly what the left wants. There was an article in the New York Times today. It was O'Reilly was touting this, where they explained all the things they want to do. It's frightening, but part of it is, bring all these people in, open the borders, have no checks on the people coming in, and people, refugees, immigrants, whether they're legal or illegal, are immediately eligible for all the welfare benefits, etc. That's not who we are. America wasn't built by providing that kind of charity. America was built by providing an environment where people could come and work hard and earn a living and then earn their entitlements. But just letting them come in, we will suck in all the lowlife and scum from around the world because they can come here and get everything for free. And that is really, really dangerous, folks. So, you need to contact your legislators in Washington. I know they don't seem to listen to us, but we have to do it. We have to keep doing it. We have to keep hammering on them. The best way is to phone them. If you can, use a fax machine. Mail takes forever. Email probably doesn't get read. But if you phone their office, and you can phone the local offices, you can phone their Washington office, do both even, phone them up, and you'll get a staffer. You'll hardly ever get your representative or your senator, but tell them what your feeling is on a particular topic. They do keep score, and they do pass those scores on. They may not like them, but they are passing them on. So even if you've got someone who's, for example, very pro-amnesty, if he hears a lot of people in his district saying, but we don't want it, we may not be able to turn that person around, but we will be able to get them to think hard about voting for very obviously bad amnesty type solutions. So think about it, folks. We can make a difference, and we need to make a difference. And the age of political correctness is over. We can say things that we think are politically incorrect because it is acceptable. There's nothing wrong with it. This country is built on open dialogue. We can, as long as you're not hateful, you can say what you like. Unfortunately, part of the problem is that the left makes saying anything that is against their ideology hateful. That's not true. And that's one thing we have to remember. Don't be cowed by these people who, as soon as you say something that they don't like, then immediately say it's hateful, it's racist, or whatever. That is not true. Okay, folks, it's time for the first commercial break. Please stick with me for a few minutes, and I will be back after these messages.
You can lose 10, 20, 30 pounds or more with Maximum Slim's first ever rapid weight loss guarantee. Today, you get Maximum Slim, an advanced fat and carb blocker, absolutely risk-free. The all-natural ingredients in Maximum Slim are a powerful weight loss combination. The Maximum Slim formula turns your body into a fat-burning furnace that supercharges your weight loss. Advanced fat and carb blocker stops the breakdown of sugar so your body doesn't store it as fat. Today, you'll get both of these products absolutely risk-free with no obligation. Only pay shipping. There are no expensive meal plans or exhausting DVDs. Just take Maximum Slim twice a day. It's fast, simple, and now it's guaranteed. Look, you can start losing weight today or not. Go back to your high school days and wear your favorite jeans again. Guaranteed. Call now and get both weight loss formulas free. Call 800-451-0228. 800-451-0228. That's 800-451-0228.
Doc, you gotta give it to me straight.
All right.
'Cause I'm dying here. I mean, take a look at this letter from the IRS.
Oh, my.
This is killing me, Doc. I tell you, it's killing me.
Cheer up, my friend.
Huh?
The tax doctor is here. My diagnosis tells me that you're going to be just fine.
Really?
The tax doctor will not rest until we find you the best possible tax settlement.
Really, Doc?
Guaranteed.
If the IRS claims you owe them $10,000 or more in business or personal back taxes, call a tax doctor right now. We could save you up to 75% if you qualify. Guaranteed or you pay nothing. Call right now for free details.
800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. That's 800-917-8546.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And thanks for sticking with me through that break. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately. We are talking about immigration and my disappointment that Paul Ryan, as the House Speaker now, so if you like, we can see as the top GOP person in Washington at the moment, saying that he will not support any cuts to Muslim immigration. That's not who we are. Well, he doesn't represent us, right? A significant majority think that we should reduce immigration. A significant majority think that we should definitely cut and stop the Syrian immigration. It's not about not wanting these people here, it's wanting some of the people that come in. If you have 10,000 coming in, even if it's just 1% that are Daesh terrorists, that's 100 terrorists who could wreak havoc around this country. Are we really prepared to lose hundreds of Americans for 10,000 refugees? Yes, we're very open. Yes, we like immigration. But we like immigration coming from places where we know who the people are, where there are possibilities to check into their backgrounds. I mean, I've been through it. I'm a legal immigrant myself, and the hoops that I had to jump through to get my first of all, to get a visa, but then to get my green card, especially in terms of background checks, was unbelievable. They went back 10 years, and because I'd moved around a lot, I had to go to each and every country and get information, right, get police reports on what my background was. They can't do that with these people from Syria. And then they come in, they're refugees, so they don't have anything, and so we've got to start giving them all this thing. I didn't get that as a legal immigrant. I had to show that I had a job, that I could support myself, and that I wasn't taking the job away from an American. Well, that seems to have gone out of the window with these regressives in Washington. So I found an interesting post on the internet that I'd like to share with you, and it's titled "The Trouble with the Nation of Immigrants Argument," because that's what's being thrown at us, right? Specifically now, the Syrian refugees, but all the other people that they're bringing in, that the left are bringing in, and also talking about illegal immigrants, right? The left will throw out this phrase, the United States is a nation of immigrants. Now, that line actually has two purposes. The first is to serve as perhaps as a dry description of the period after the Civil War when America expanded hugely, right? So end of the Civil War to, let's say, the beginning of the Roaring Twenties, America accepted tens of millions of immigrants looking for a better life. But remember, they were looking for a better life. They weren't coming here for a handout, because in those days they didn't get a handout. So that is the first one. And of course, Khalif Hussein is especially fond of the phrase, but you hear it now from all the other left-wing talking heads and radio hosts, whatever, commentators. Right? So Obama has said things like the United States has weaved a tradition of welcoming immigrants into the very fabric of who we are. Right? It's people, he will say, were strangers once too, and found good neighbors here. So we are a nation of immigrants. And why is he saying that? Because he feels we should change our current system in exactly the way he desires. And what the left wing wants has been revealed, as I said, in the New York Times, and it is frightening. And I'll give you, in a historical sense, the regressives are right. We do have a long tradition of welcoming outsiders to the heart of the United States, and I'm glad to say I'm one of them. But today, you can also say, so what? It's the question. We're not saying we shouldn't accept Americans, or America shouldn't ever accept new people. And we're not saying, is immigration a good thing per se, but we're saying what policy should be adopted towards, amongst other things, the Syrian refugee crisis, and I would say also illegal immigrants. What policy? You can't just generalize on this, unless, of course, as was mentioned in the New York Times article, if you're for open borders without checks, then you're not drawing a line anywhere, and anybody can come and go as they please, whatever. But if you say, no, that's not a want, then you are talking about some restriction. And then the question is, where do you draw the line, right? Because you may say, well, I don't want to be that restrictive, but you are being restrictive. It's either, in a way, it's all or nothing. Either you say, yeah, anybody can come and go, no checks, no tests, whatever. Or you say, no, well, we're going to have some restrictions. And then it's just a question of, well, what's the level? And a lot of the people that are saying, oh, well, to say anything about immigrants, whether it's or refugees from Syria or illegal immigrants, it's racist, or you're fearful because of these people. Those are just terms that are being thrown out because you might have a less restrictionist approach than someone else. But let's be honest, you are still a restrictionist, right? You either go for open borders or you have a restriction. You draw a line in the sand. It may not be the same place as the line that I draw, but you are doing that. You just have a different set. So picking a particular point on this continuum of less restrictive to more restrictive, but remember, always restrictive in some way, you can't say that just picking an arbitrary point and say, well, that represents American values. No. Think about it. Up to fairly recently, in the modern times, right, since the Roaring Twenties, immigration has been fairly restrictive. It wasn't easy to get into the United States. And again, I'll say, I know, I did it. So, if we look at it from that point of view, the questions really should be the following. Should we take a risk and allow into the country a large group of people amongst whom a few terrorists might be hiding? And if we do that, how many should we take? We should be saying, what criteria should we lay out when deciding who exactly is eligible? And what processes should be put in place to screen those who apply? Remember, there's no background checks possible, so how, right? Or should we, that's why, I mean, just that last one alone, I would say, well, if we can't screen them, no. There's plenty of people waiting to come here from other countries who have, in some ways, just as much need to come here as a lot of these refugees. Let them come in, because if we don't, because we can check their backgrounds, but the folks coming from Syria, we can't. And don't forget, we get all these lies from the left as well about, well, you don't want to allow in widows and babies. But remember, 75% or more of the refugees that streamed, the millions that streamed into Europe, 75% or more are military-age men. Don't forget that, folks. That is a huge danger. Now, so basically, saying we're a nation of immigrants is just an appeal to emotion. And it's often used by the left, basically, like the way they use racist, hater, whatever. It's thrown down as a challenge to someone who's saying something with which they don't agree. However, what the Constitution says, and what we should be living by, is the fact that the people of the United States are legally authorized to contrive whatever immigration plan they wish. In the last 200 years, there have actually been periods there were no immigration laws, and periods in which they were very complex. And I know I came in through one of those. And there have been times when they were even evil and racist. As I said, between the end of the Civil War and the Roaring Twenties, tens of millions came in. But there have also been times during which the borders were all but closed. It's been very unpredictable. In the article, they say, as an example, a Japanese expat heading for California in 1885 would have just been welcomed with an inspection, a health inspection, something they've done all the while. His grandson, applying in 1933, would have been summarily turned away. Right? So it's not that simple. If we talk about free speech or the Second Amendment, in some ways those are much easier to talk about that, because those are fairly clear, right? And when we talk about that, there are certain political precepts, and it's a reminder that the government is only allowed to legally restrict our liberty in a small number of ways. But regarding immigration, you can't do that. We don't have that same thing going forward. So, yes, we can have immigrants, but we can't just have anybody. And I think one of the good things in the article, they said, Put bluntly, Americans do generally want to invite exiles in, but not at the expense of establishing in the United States the conditions that led them to flee in the first place. It is neither irrational nor unreasonable to worry that a regressive policy towards the Syrian refugees will bring in both a host of deserving outcasts and a smattering of their tormentors. And those tormentors will not only torment the exiles, but will torment us with raining death upon us, folks. Don't forget that. Okay, folks, I see it's time for the next break, and maybe a little bit of music again afterwards.
Patriot come lately. British by birth, American by choice. Just like the Founding Fathers. The voice of the conservative resistance.
Every day, millions of Americans grow more concerned about the future of our great nation. The truth is, over the last century, a small but powerful collectivist movement known as progressivism has debased our politics, our culture, and our currency. We're just a small step from falling into 1,000 years of darkness, as Ronald Reagan warned. Friend, this is Pat Boone with an important free offer on a hot new book called The Great Withdrawal by Craig Smith and Lowell Ponte. This new book explains how we, the people, can end this fatal detour into big government and get back on the path of faith and freedom charted by our founders. Call now for a free copy of the hot new book called The Great Withdrawal.
Call now for your free copy. 800-978-3901. 800-978-3901. 800-978-3901. That's 800-978-3901.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS that you can't pay? Call now for immediate help. At the Tax Relief Line, we help people just like you. If you take on the IRS alone, you could be facing levies, liens, even wage garnishments, personal or business tax issues. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, call now and see if you can pay less. They can freeze your bank accounts, even garnish your wages. Call the Tax Relief Line now for immediate help. Our expert team of tax professionals will negotiate your tax problem and deal with the IRS for you. If the IRS is threatening you with levies, wage garnishments, or seizing your assets, call now and see if you can pay the IRS less.
888-789-5043. 888-789-5043. 888-789-5043. 888-789-5043.
This is Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, keeping the spirit of America alive, a proud member of the Red State Talk Radio Network. And thanks for sticking with me through that break. I'd like to remind my listeners, if you're listening live, that is 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, on a Tuesday evening, do join us in the chat room. You can reach the chat room by clicking on that little speech bubble in the little Spreaker box there that you use to listen to the show. If you're not listening live, please send me your questions, comments, feedback, whatever, either via email. My email is stefan@patriotcomelately.us, or you can go to the website www.patriotcomelately.us and send me a message by clicking on the contact button that's on the first screen that you arrive at the website. I do like hearing from my listeners, and Christmas is coming up, so send me an email, and the emails that come in, I do try to answer the emails or contacts from the website. I do try and answer you direct, as well as mentioning especially comments, questions in subsequent shows. if you do so. And like I said, it's nice to hear from folks. I know a lot of my listeners aren't able to listen to the live show, but they do listen to the recordings. So let me know that you're out there. It's nice to hear from you. Anyway, before we go on to our main topic for the evening, let's have a quick listen of some music here. I think this is rather a fun one. Haven't played this one for a while, so just a couple of minutes of entertainment, folks. And here we go.
Taking my country back, putting it back on the right track. Corrupt politicians making bad decisions, we all had enough of that. If our founding fathers could talk today, I could hear them say, hey, take your country back, my friend. You gotta take your country back. Get out of my way or slip on this train. I'm headed to my Washington house to let those suckers know on election day I'm gonna kick most of them on out and shout no more high taxes. We want a free market system. We don't like socialism. See, we believe in capitalism. And we love our children, and we love this nation. So let's protect our borders and protect our freedom. I'm taking my country back, putting it back on the right track. Corrupt politicians making bad decisions, we all had enough of that. If our founding fathers could talk today, I can hear them say, take your country back. Oh yeah, son, you gotta take your country back. Take your country back. Oh yeah, you gotta take your country back. Now Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and John Quincy Adams too. If you could go to Washington one more time, what would you say or do? I'd say no more high taxes. We want a free market system. We don't like socialism. See, we believe in capitalism. And we love our children. And we love this nation. That's why we wrote the Constitution, to protect our freedom. So start taking your country back, putting it back on the right track. Now corrupt politicians making bad decisions, we all had enough of that. If our founding fathers could talk today, I could hear them say, take your country back right now. Yeah, you gotta take your country back. I'll take your country back right now. Son, you gotta take your country back. Oh, take it back. Take it back. And put it back on the right track. Oh, take it back. Take it back. And put it back on the right track. And put it back on the right track. Oh yeah, God help us take our country back and put it back on the right track. Yeah, put it back on the right track. Oh, take it back, and put it back on the right track. Oh yeah, take it back. Oh, take it back, and put it back on the right track. Oh, take it back, take it back, take it back, take it back, and put it back on the right track.
Yes, take your country back and make it great again. No apologies for taking a little bit of a Trump slogan there as well. Okay, folks, on to the main topic for tonight, and the title was, Could I Find Agreement with Piers Morgan? Well, here's some things I could agree on. Now, this first part goes back little bit further, goes back to when Donald Trump was on Saturday Night Live, and Piers Morgan said, Donald Trump made me laugh with and at him on Saturday Night Live, which is why he may have the last laugh by winning the GOP nomination. Comedy shows and politicians are rarely easy bedfellows. Late night comedy shows and Republican politicians are even more uncomfortable partners. But Saturday Night Live and front-running GOP candidates are a nocturnal fusion so toxic they make the severed horse's head bed scene in The Godfather look like a tea party. He goes on to talk about Sarah Palin and her appearance, etc. I won't go through all that, but so it was with some trepidation that I tuned into SNL last night to watch my old friend Donald Trump host in an eagerly awaited and hugely hyped encounter. Piers goes on to say, I make no pretense of having hugely enjoyed Trump's campaign to date, not because I support all the contentious things he said, nor because I agree with him on issues like guns, immigration, or climate change. And as an aside, he says, but I wouldn't agree with many of the other candidates about many of those issues either. But he says, no, the reason I've enjoyed it is because Trump has exposed American politics for the simpering, shallow, partisan, insincere, dispiritingly intransient cesspit that it's become in recent years. Very well said, Piers. That's, like I said, I surprised myself to read that because that's exactly the way I feel, and I think that's the way so many people feel, and which is why Donald continues to be so successful. There's just something inherently refreshing about a candidate who often says outrageous things but refuses to bow to the altar of political correctness and issue groveling apologies when they provoke the inevitable firestorm of usually faux, indignant wrath. Yeah, exactly. I mean, but that's what we've been saying all along. Donald Trump tells it like it is, and if he says something people don't like, it doesn't matter. He'll double down on it if he believes it's something, that's true. He won't move, even if people say, well, you can't say that. He just does it. He's also highly confident and has a very simple but powerful connecting message. I'm a very successful billionaire and I'm going to make America great again. Now, Piers has been traveling around rural America this past week. Yeah, unfortunately, we still haven't been able to get rid of him and send him back to the UK, but maybe I'll be a little less hard on him after this. And he said he's been far removed from the liberal-dominated East and West Coasts and found a lot of love for the Donald. They like his straight-talking, combative style, his brutal takedown of opponents, and his supremely positive message for the country. And that's why he's leading in the polls. And Piers thinks this SNL appearance was a potentially gigantic banana skin. So how did he do? Well, Piers says, in words that Trump might himself use, he killed it. This was event television, the Super Bowl of all late-night encounters. And he goes on about the fact that you're a racist was shouted when Trump had just started, and this is what everybody was waiting for. But it wasn't a real protester; it was Larry David, one of the participants in the show, and Trump said, Larry, what are you doing? And he said, I heard if you yelled that, they're going to give me $5,000, said David. And Trump smirked back, "As a businessman, I can fully respect that." Well, as Piers said, it was a brilliant way to defuse a minefield. It's a mistake to take Donald Trump too seriously. He's one of the greatest showmen in modern American history. But it's also a mistake not to take Donald Trump seriously enough. He's no Sarah Palin. He's way smarter than that. It's hard to imagine anyone, even his biggest detractors, watching Saturday Night Live and not coming away with an improved opinion about him. So, he killed it on Saturday Night Live. He only got 12 minutes of airtime, but it may be the biggest 12 minutes of his career, the 12 minutes that won him the 2016 Republican nomination. Well, Piers, we'll wait and see. Okay, folks, I see it's time for the final break, so I will be back for the final segment of the show just after this, and I've got something else that Piers said that I like as well. We'll try and squeeze that in before the end of the show.
The offer of a franchise can only be made through delivery of a franchise disclosure document. Imagine yourself being a leader in America's fastest-growing demographic category. More than 10,000 people a day turn 65, and a large percentage are going to need a helping hand at home or in choosing the right assisted living community. Always Best Care is looking for people who've excelled at everything they've done, but they're seeking a new challenge. Always Best Care is one of the fastest-growing companies in this explosive field. We're looking for 25 new franchisees to keep our booming business growing. We'll back you up with the strongest award-winning marketing program in the industry, and we'll provide the special training and support that's fueled our growth to prepare you for this great opportunity. All that's missing is you. Call Always Best Care toll-free at 1-800-643-7508. That's 1-800-643-7508. For Always Best Care, 1-800-643-7508. Call today.
Are you worried about losing your home to foreclosure? If you've been threatened with foreclosure or received legal papers from your bank, you have approximately 30 days to respond. If you do not respond, you could lose your home. You have rights. Act now to protect your rights. You can stay in your home. Many times you can even modify your loan. The bottom line is you can get past this, but you must act right now. Call National Foreclosure Defense right now at 800-296-3006, 800-296-3006. If you've been served by your bank and you're worried about losing your home to foreclosure, now is the time to fight back and save your home. Time is limited, so call right now. 800-296-3006, 800-296-3006. Call the professionals at National Foreclosure Defense right now. 800-296-3006.
If you're diabetic, this message could change your life. Is your blood sugar out of control even when you do all the right stuff? Are you afraid of diabetic blindness and the risk of amputation, as well as all those other side effects? Well, you should be. Is there anything that could help manage your blood sugar? Nobetes is a natural supplement that may quickly and dramatically lower your blood sugar.
My name is Bob Corder. I've been using Nobetes for about 3.5 to 4 months now, and in the first 3 months, I've actually lowered my blood sugars from 500s down to 139, and then it dropped to 88 to 93.
My name is Kirsten. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and while taking Nobetes, my blood sugar levels dropped from 295 to 115 in just 1 day.
The FDA hasn't evaluated these statements, and Nobetes isn't intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. But for many, it's helped drop their blood sugar. So if you've been evaluated with high blood sugar, don't delay. Evaluate Nobetes now. Call 800-551-8302 and get your free bottle. Just cover shipping and handling. Call 800-551-8302. That's 800-551-8302.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. Okay, we're into the final segment of the show, and I do have another topic, so... And this one is more from Piers Morgan, with which I can agree. This time we're talking about the Daesh Muslim radicals atrocity in France. And he says in all the chaos and misery in the aftermath of the attack, there are some important facts that really weren't publicized very much. The incident at the football stadium could have been 100, perhaps 1,000 times worse. The plan was actually for one suicide bomber to go in to the stadium. He had bought a ticket and he was going to go in, and he would blow himself up amongst the 80,000 spectators that were in there. The result would be that people would rush out of the stadium, very obviously, right, because of that atrocity. There were 2 more waiting out on the streets, and the intention was that as the people streamed out of the stadium and there was a crowd outside the stadium, then they would blow themselves up at the same time and have even more people injured and hurt and killed. Now, this was foiled because security guards were frisking people at the entrance, and they noticed that he had a suicide vest. So the bomber ran away and detonated his vest. The 2 fellow terrorists must have seen him do that and decided, oh, this isn't going the right way. So they detonated theirs. And at the football stadium, only 1 other person was killed. So, right, 3 of them for 1 of ours. That was actually a pretty good thing. And that we have to thank for the security guards. What's very important to note that this team of security guards included many Muslims working at the stadium. There's a lot of Muslims in France, and that's been revealed, including apparently the story was told in the Wall Street Journal about the fact that they actually detected the suicide belt that this person had on. So Piers goes on to say, right, a number of other examples of people helping out. Compare that to the millions of other Muslims after these latest outrages by terrorists purporting to be acting under specific murderous instruction from their religion and their prophet. And Piers says, all I'm hearing right now is a lot of silence, a loud, deafening silence, an unforgivable, cowardly silence. And he says, the moderate Muslims need to do something. They need to find a voice in their feet and get out of their homes to protest about what Daesh is doing. He wants to see Muslims holding anti-Daesh marches, anti-Daesh conferences, anti-Daesh rallies. He wants to hear that Muslim clerics are denouncing Daesh in the mosques to congregations of young, impressionable people. He wants to see social media blow up with furious Muslims attacking Daesh with the same velocity deployed by those callous suicide bombers. And I think he's very right. Piers has said, people on the left also say Daesh are not real Muslims. And the people that say that get mocked for it, but they're not. One of the Muslims working in a restaurant that was helping rescue people, himself a Muslim, said, this has nothing to do with religion. Real Muslims are not made for killing people. These are criminals. And he's right. They are just criminals, gangsters, thugs. Okay, folks, I see we've come to the end of the show here. Just a reminder, send me your emails, stephan@patrickcomelately.us or www.patrickcomelately.us, and hit the contact button. Other than that, it's time to say TTFN, ta-ta for now. Please join me again next week. We're getting close to Christmas, folks. Bye. Thank you for listening to the show. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's topics. Whether you listened live, to a recording, or to a rebroadcast, I appreciate the time you share with me. We need to spread the message of liberty far and wide, so please tell your friends and family about the show. Thank you for helping to keep the beacon of hope burning. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, signing off. God bless America, and remember, L3, long live liberty.